Premier League predictions, round 33.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions for the continuing Premier League predictions. It's like it never bloody ends. When are we going to go back to one game a week? I am exhausted. But we are up to round 33. As always, we do put timestamps down in the description, so you can jump ahead to certain games if you want to. And there's also the chapters bar on the YouTube video itself, where you can do the same thing. But really? Why would you ever do that? You're just missing out on absolute fact, fiction, quality, and who knows what else you might be missing out on. But you could find out by watching the whole video. If you stick around till the end, Tom will be doing shout outs for people that commented on our previous round of Premier League predictions. So stick around for that. And I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's jump into the first match.
Burnley vs Sheffield United.
When we came back from lockdown, who would have thought that these two sides would have switched positions in the league? It is crazy that Burnley are now ahead of Sheffield United. We haven't seen any of Chris Wilder celebrating like this, which is how he celebrated when Oxford won the playoffs in 2010. It's been very much disappointment after disappointment for Sheffield United. I'm not sure what they did in the off-season, whether they kind of upset like a gypsy and got a curse or something, but they are not getting any luck at all. They got beaten quite comfortably against Manchester United. Then they went out of the FA Cup to Arsenal, which the last two games against Arsenal, they were pretty good. So surprising, almost a surprise really, that they lost that game. Not going great for them. It would be a real shame if their season did peter out and they finished down like 10th, 11th, 12th, because it would almost look like it was a disappointing season, where of course it's not. They've been absolutely brilliant. Sheffield United, success has been built on really picking same 11 every week, or picking a very solid core of players. That core's obviously been broken into a little bit with the types of likes of Egan getting a red card, and with John Lundstrom going down injured. Just means that some of the real key players are dropped down for them, so that probably doesn't help with their drop-off so far. And also Tom has identified that they don't like the sun. So what are they going to do when they go up to Burnley? One thing you can expect at Burnley, there won't be any sun. But I still think Burnley will win this game. I think that Burnley will come through and win by the same scoreline they're always winning by, 1-0.
Last time these two sides played, Sheffield United won 3-0, but their form is just not great. They are slightly falling apart, and I'm going to be honest, I don't really know how to pinpoint what it is. I don't know what the difference is. It's clearly the sun.
Are they getting relegated?
Yes, alongside Brighton, Hove and Albion and Newcastle.
Cut.
Burnley on a really good run of form, though. Everyone's talking about Sean Dyche leaving and they're not doing well enough. Two straight ground down 1-0 victories, the first against Watford, and a Jay Rodriguez bullet header, a deserved victory in a really tough match. But Jay Rodriguez is class, and I did not realize how long he'd been with this club, but he's been really excellent. And then cometh the hour, cometh the Ben Mee. Club captain heads the ball through Vicente Gaeta's arm. No one's really quite sure how it's made it in the back of the net, but that's really all that matters, is it's made it in the back of the net. And all of a sudden, Burnley are riding high. They're above Sheffield United. They're just below Arsenal. And let's be honest, Arsenal, you probably just need Sean Dyche in charge of your club. Don't even pretend. This guy is a freaking savant. And I mean it for real, not like the Carl Robinson joke. All things being said, Burnley have been really good, but I don't know which way to go in this game. I'm fine. You're following my stream of consciousness and wondering where I'm going.
No, I'm stuck on the Carl Robinson savant. It's having a hard time thinking. Joe.
I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw in this fixture.
Chelsea versus Watford.
What the hell is Chelsea Football Club? How do they go from scintillating best beating Man City to, oh my God, we just lost to the worst West Ham side since 2003 when they got relegated? I didn't think they were bad in their match against West Ham. I thought they had tons of chances to win it. I thought Pulisic had a good game again. Willian had a good game. Questions are going to be asked about the goalkeeping for West Ham. Lucas Fabianski beaten on a post that he's supposed to literally be stood on a free kick, but still a great free kick. But this Chelsea side, they just are weak defensively. They just give up these goals let's talk about Kepa Arrizabalaga.
That's what I mean. You started saying about goalkeeping, then you started saying about Fabianski. I thought you were just going to rip into Kepa.
Yeah, I had to quickly pick that one off because it was annoying me in the back here. But Arrizabalaga was freaking awful in this game. And it's like having a petulant 8-year-old as your goalkeeper. He has no strength. He exudes no command. He is bad at his job. The first goal that West Ham scored that gets chalked off by VAR for offside, whatever the fuck that means today, is just absolute nonsense. And Arrizabalaga throws a fit, and it's like watching a schoolboy throw a fit. Then the second goal, he just runs into Rudiger. You know what he does? He throws a fit! It's unbearable watching this guy. He is a waste of space. I watched this game with Chelsea fans, and even they thought he was terrible in this match. He offers this team nothing. He doesn't marshal the back four. And I'm starting to get the distinct impression at this Chelsea side that anybody else would do a better job just by being able to communicate better with his defenders. I mean, he runs into Rudiger on a corner. Mm-hmm. Rudiger is like 6'5". He's a giant.
It was the sort of thing you'd expect to see your keeper doing in FIFA. Just randomly run out, fall over, and as the computer scores against you.
Chelsea 2, Watford 1.
I should absolutely agree with you. It was completely the epitome of Chelsea's week, really, wasn't it? Beat City, beat Leicester, go and lose to West Ham. Second time, West Ham did the double over him in the season. Both times going into the game, West Ham were in dreadful form, and Chelsea managed to lose both games. Speaking of a side in bad form, that also brings me nicely into Watford, because for all the talk of how Nigel Pearson's reorganised them and done a really good job, they don't win. I think they've won like one game out of the last 8. They're really in a poor run. I mean, they're just outside the relegation zone by a point, and that is being helped by the fact that the teams below them also don't seem to win. So it does seem like a case they might be able to draw their way out of victory or just fluke a couple of wins somewhere. But I don't see them getting anything out of this game. They'll be looking to the next game where they got Norwich. That is their 6-pointer and then some. But I don't see them getting anything out of this one. I'm actually going to match your score and be boring. I'm going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
It's actually really funny. I hadn't realized this, but I'm looking at our notes now and I'm seeing that Chelsea won this last fixture. 2-1.
Thomas, watch out! The Eagles are coming!
Because it's Leicester City hosting Crystal Palace.
It very much seems like, as much as Roy Hodgson will try and get his players up for the game, it does seem like this Crystal Palace side really does have not much to play for now. And the last 2 games, I know they played Liverpool, and that was like they met Liverpool when Liverpool really wanted to put on a show and went down 4-0. But poor performance and poor result against Burnley, really. I mean, Roy Hodgson talked about it, saying that the players didn't even really... They wasted the first 45 minutes, were his words. Just meaning that they were really almost like weren't up for the game, and then when they went a goal down, that's when they finally tried to get back into it. But it's been the story of Palace's season for a couple of years. Inexplicably, they're just really lethargic at home. They always seem to like really struggle to score goals at home, and then they're a completely different side away from home. You'll see. We'll see another side later on when we talk about Southampton. They're almost a complete reverse of that. Actually, no, they're exactly the same. What am I talking about? But anyway, so what can you expect? Leicester really need to win this game because they are floundering, and you're going to talk about them. But I can see Palace upsetting them. I really can. They're just a funny side, and this Leicester side's not firing. But I do think it'll be a draw, and I'm going to go for Leicester 2, Palace 2.
Leicester City are absolutely just falling apart right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could work for Sky Sports with the way I spin teams losing a football match, but holy hell, they just look devoid of ideas. They were safe in second about a month before play was stopped. Now they're dropping down. Chelsea are only a point behind them. United are only 3 points behind them. And they don't look good when I watch them. They're having a real problem finding Jamie Vardy and getting him the ball with any space around him. And they don't seem to be able to break anybody down. And I've been shouting, play Damari Gray, and then they play Damari Gray, and it just doesn't help. I don't know what Brendan Rodgers needs to do to make this work, because no matter what happens, they can lose every match at the end of the year, and it's been a fantastic season for Leicester. But they need to get a win now. They are a good football side. They've got a good defense. I really like Sonyaku. I really like Johnny Evans. I like Kasper Schmeichel. Ben Chilwell at left back has some defensive errors in him, but he's good going forward. This is a really strong side. Tielemans, I'm not really sure what it is. I don't know if they're just having a real hard time finding that spark and that chemistry, but something is missing. And to lose 2-1 to Everton and the way they did it, it didn't look great. They didn't seem to offer a huge amount going forward. I caught the final half hour of the game, and I didn't think they were going to score. I'm sure Leicester fans, you might disagree with me, but something's going wrong in this club. Tell me what you guys think it is.
The funny thing is, in that last half an hour, they probably looked better than they did for most of the game. I mean, they only really got better when they brought Iheanacho on at the start of the second half to put someone up there with Vardy so he wasn't so isolated. But they had plenty of time. They went 2-0 down early. They had loads of time to come back into this game. They didn't really show the fight you'd expect normally from Leicester.
I think I'm gonna go for a Leicester win, but I'm not 100% sure why. I just think eventually they're gonna have to do it, and we all know that I'm gonna make some rash decision later on, or maybe Burnley, Sheffield United will not be a 0-0 draw. So let's go Leicester City 1, Palace 0, because I feel like when they finally win, it's gonna be a ground out, dirty performance.
Champions Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Tom, it's finally happened. You knew this time would come. They have won the league probably for about the last 3 or 4 months, but finally they got crowned champions by Chelsea beating Manchester City. Bit of an anticlimax. They should have done it on the pitch, but
don't start with me.
But well done to Liverpool. Fantastic achievement. Thoroughly deserved it. I'll leave you to talk about Liverpool.
It's cruel and unusual punishment from you, Ian Allen. It's cruel and unusual. So, Liverpool are champions. Congratulations to you. 4-0 Liverpool.
Well, Aston Villa are one of those sides down the bottom, like what I said about Watford, where Dean Smith comes out every week and says, I thought we were pretty good, but you don't win, Dean. You don't win. You don't look like scoring goals. Again, are you trying to just draw your way to victory? Yeah, all right, they did play. They have been okay, but where are the goals going to come from, Villa fans? If Jack Grealish is not single-handedly going to keep you up, which doesn't look like doing, where the goal is going to come from. And I think we're not saying anything that Villa don't know. With that big win for West Ham, you feel like they've kind of like moved themselves out a bit, even though they're only like maybe 4 points ahead. I think it's only 3 points ahead. 3 points seems a long way away at this point. And coming up against Liverpool, yeah, I know Liverpool have won the league, but that doesn't mean they're going to show any mercy whatsoever. And yeah, they're going to thrash Villa. I don't think it's going to be 4. I think it's going to be 5.
Wolverhampton Wanderers hosting Shit Show Garbage Club of the Year, Arsenal Football Club.
You're not having them. You're not having them. No, listen to me. Listen. You're not having Arsenal. You're not ripping this team apart when they've clearly turned the corner under Mikel Arteta. Go ahead and talk about your Wolves, but only when I'm done talking about Arsenal Football Club. What a great week. You know, they had a really bad few results since lockdown, but they got a good win against Southampton, very much helped by a keeper mistake, which set them on the way, but well done, Nketiah. A lot of people thought they'd probably, including us, thought they would have lost to Sheffield United in the FA Cup, but they didn't. But unfortunately, that does mean they're going to come up against Man City and lose in the semi-final. And then they went and played against Norwich, which is the free hit for everybody, but they went and racked up the goals against them. Norwich, they did let Norwich hit the post to give them that false sense of security. But as you know, when you play Norwich, it's very much a case of just sitting back, whistling, waiting for them to make a mistake. And boy, did those mistakes come. Tim Krul, what are you doing? When we get to Norwich, we'll get to Norwich. But he handed Aubameyang the first goal. Good goal for Xhaka. 2 for Aubameyang. And Cedric Suarez scored on his debut as well. So all the things that are positive about Arteta's time in charge came to fruition in the last week with youngsters playing in the first team and looking pretty decent. So things do look relatively positive in that regard. But as we say all the time, you never know what you're going to get with this Arsenal side. And this is going to be a really tough test for them. And I cannot back Arsenal against a marauding Wolverhampton Wanderers side. I think Wolves are going to be too strong, and I think it's going to be 2-1 Wolves.
So that was Wolverhampton Wanderers side, who in Traore and Jimenez have the best striker combination the Premier League has seen since Sutton and Shearer. That's right. Between the two of them, they have the highest goal total assist rate since those two played. They're very close. I think they're 2 goals away from bettering that. And when you watch Wolves play, You can see it. Traore is dope. Oh my God, he's so good. He runs teams freaking ragged. Like, teams are petrified of him. They don't even start him half the time. They give him rest, put him in the second half, and for 20 minutes, it's just like throwing a grenade in a room and closing the door. You come in 20 minutes later, and they're just bodies on the ground, and you're like, oh, so Traore was here. It's insane. And in Jimenez, they got a striker with like ice in his veins, and then they just surrounded him, like Diego Jota, Ruben Neves, Pedro Neto, Rui Patricio. I still can't get over Rui Patricio and João Moutinho playing for this side. Like, these were big players when I was like 18 years old, if not younger than that.
Hey, give a shout out to the defence as well, Tom. Willy Bolly, Connor Cody.
Johnny.
Very solid.
Oh, Dendoncker? He's a midfielder, but he's a defensive midfielder, if I'm not totally... And
well, so, got the winner against Villa.
They have been a freaking awesome team. They're grinding out wins, which is all you can really ask them to do, because that's what gets you up the table. And you know, they're equal on points with Man United. They're 2 points behind Chelsea, 3 behind Leicester. I mean, what if Man United and Wolves overtake Leicester and Chelsea and end in the top 4? Like, on form right now, anything is possible. Apparently, I'm not allowed to talk about Arsenal, so I'll stop doing it. I'll just leave this at Wolves are going to run rampant, because there's no way this Arsenal defense can deal with Traore. I can't wait to see David Luiz get sent off in this game. 3-0 to Wolves.
You can have Arsenal next time. Newcastle United versus West Ham United.
I'm here to tell you about a man, and all he does is win. That's right. That's David Moyes. Him, of the 17% win ratio. That's what he has as a manager at West Ham. But apparently that is the definition of winning. But that works. And at Chelsea, it worked to a 3-2 victory in the most just back and forth nuts match we could have asked for. West Ham were
Let's just say quickly, after half an hour of this game, we were texting each other saying, this is so boring. And then a game exploded into life.
Just nuts. I feel really bad for Sochenki, the guy who scored the opening goal, who has now scored 3 goals for West Ham, but 2 of them have had VAR chalk them offside. This one for Mikel Antonio, lying on the goal line and trying to stop the ball crossing it, that counted as him being offside. If anything, he was trying to help the man-child Kepa Arrizabalaga out by stopping it. And that's right. That's the man that David Moyes thinks is going to be his striker. The guy throwing him in front of the ball to stop it from going in.
You can't. You picked a bad day to slag off Antonio.
Yarmolenko looked really good. Great goal. I don't know if that was to tell people to shut up or something, but he scored a great goal. Antonio got his goal. But again, Antonio looked so much better in this match when he got the ball out on the right or the left. Whenever he got the ball in the middle, it was like he didn't know what direction to go, and he got bodied off it by Rudiger really easily multiple times. But West Ham got a win, and like you said, it feels like they're miles above the relegation zone now. Like, people are talking about 36 points being safety again this year. 30 points might be safety right now. I've got a Newcastle win here, 2-1.
What the fuck? Does that mean I have to say bad things against Steve Bruce? No, I can't do it. Whew. Let's talk about Steven, shall we? Let's talk about Steven Bruce. What a guy. What a manager. I told you this would be Bournemouth's toughest game out of the run they've got. Not Man United, not how many other of the big boys they've got. I said it would be Newcastle. What did they do? They go down to the South Coast. How far of a journey is that? That's got to be 5,000, 6,000 miles, maybe more, all the way down to the South Coast, and they beat them 4-1. Dwight Gale missed a sitter against City in the FA Cup, gets a goal early here. What does that show you? He's well coached. He's well man-managed. He didn't get his head down. Steve Bruce has picked that guy off the floor, and he's scoring goals. Goals for Longstaff. Great play by St. Maximan. Almiron getting a goal. It is heady days for Newcastle United, led by the second coming of Kevin Keegan.
I will love it if we beat them.
And I don't need to wax lyrical anymore, because Newcastle United are going to beat this sorry West Ham side. They are going to win 3-0.
Because it's Norwich City hosting Brighton and Hove, Albion.
Oh, I cannot stop talking about this Norwich City side, Tom. It's like whatever they say about the definition of insanity, just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. They did well against Man United in the FA Cup, and they nearly got it all the way to penalties, which you would have brought into ultimate penalty saver Tim Krul. But it wasn't to be. Harry Maguire scored a late goal. Man United went through, and then they went and played Arsenal, and then they went and did what they always do. They looked decent at times. They played some good football. They centre back Godfrey, I think, hit a screamer against the post, and then Tim Krul, what are you doing? He's literally on the edge of the box, and he's not known for his ball playing skill. Tries to turn Aubameyang, and Aubameyang just nips it off him. Open goal for his. I think it was his 50th goal for Arsenal. And after that, it was just the same old thing. And before that Tim Krul incident, there were numerous times where Arsenal were snapping at their heels, trying to win the ball back. And all they do is just continue to just pass the ball around the back. They don't think, well, we've been caught like this so often. Maybe we want to play a bit differently. They just do the same things all the time and get caught and get punished and lose games. And everyone goes, oh, they looked a really good side. They lost. So, yeah, they're going to lose. They're going to go down because Brighton are well organised. They're too organised. Norwich, literally, you think Graham Potter, we've seen how drilled the side is. Do you think he's not going to see this Norwich side and just think, don't concede, they'll give you a chance? And, Mopé might be a leg breaker.
They'll give you one chance.
Yeah, okay. Mopé might be a leg breaker, but he can stick the ball in the net from time to time. And I'm going for Norwich 0, Brighton 2.
Unfortunately, I just have to copy your scoreline based only on the fact that I can't see Brighton ever scoring more than 2 goals in a football match. So where am I going to go with this? Brighton, really good form coming into the Man United match. They were well beaten by Man United, but I think they came up against the Man United side that were really up for it. And I think that they were just literally looking over United's shoulder, looking at Norwich and going, why would we put any effort into this? And it felt like that. Second half, obviously, they put a lot more players on. I think that's the first match I've seen Trossard actually look like a threat. He came close to scoring against Man United 4 times. It was very stressful to watch. But this looks like a totally different Brighton side to the one that went into the break. They are really well drilled. They aren't giving up. Matt Ryan is so good in goal. They've got a really settled back 4 right now. Dan Burns back from a broken clavicle or whatever it is, and he came back early, and Dunk, a lot of the players look fitter than they did pre-break, and you can see it. They seem like they're just full of running. And against Man United, they came up against one of the form sides in the league, and they came up against freaking Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes. It's not fair there's a midfield with them in it. It's just they've got City the week after this, and I can tell you right now, I suspect Brighton will concede quite a few goals then. But they're good enough to stay in the league, and they'll beat Norwich 2-0.
They got the points on the board, and they only need a couple, maybe even one more win, and this is where they're going to get it.
Southampton versus Manchester City.
As I talked about earlier on in the video, Southampton, for some reason, are absolutely garbage at home, brilliant away from home. Honestly, their home form, I saw a stat, they are bottom of the league on home form, and on away form they're 5th. They
play in a league with Norwich.
Yeah, it's amazing. And another great away performance in the last game with Danny Ings having another masterclass of a game. He really absolutely took the game by the scruff of the neck and won it. He got 2 goals, which brought him close to getting the Golden Boot, which has brought him back into serious contention for that. And a great goal from James Ward-Prowse as well. This, looks a side that will be decent next season as well if they can keep all their players together under Ralph Hasenhüttl. But they're coming up against City and they're at home, so it's a loss, I'm afraid. And it's going to be Southampton 1, Man City 3.
When you look back into the annals of Premier League history, what are you going to do if Danny Ings wins Premier League top scorer in a league with Aguero, Vardy, Aubameyang,
people like bloody Dion
Rashford,
Dublin have won it in the past with people like Shearer in the league.
You shut your mouth.
So
that man is a saint.
Hey, Danny Ings might be a saint for all. You don't know the charity work he does. Yeah. Neither do I.
Didn't go the way I thought it would, did it? So City somehow contrived to lose to Chelsea 2-1. I do think you can say that the pressure has kind of gotten to City to that point. When you're 25 points behind the leaders for as long as you are, And then you have to go into a game against a Chelsea side that have nothing to lose. If they lose that 3-0, who cares? And they sat back, they absorbed pressure, and they did what every game plan should be against Pep Guardiola's team if you don't have the better side, and it's soak up the pressure and try and counterattack. And I don't think the previous result against Chelsea, or possibly losing to Liverpool in the midweek match, is actually going to have any effect on this match. I think they're going to come into this game with something to prove. I think Pep is now preparing his team for next season and the Champions League, which is all they care about, hence the title of their own documentary, All or Nothing, where they literally talk about how the league doesn't matter as much. So let's go for a City win. I don't think they're going to concede. I think it's going to be 3-0 City.
Tottenham Hotspur versus Everton.
So, Ian, unfortunately, we're recording this before Spurs play Sheffield on Thursday. The last match we saw was an easy victory over a lowly West Ham side, 2-0 victory. I think that was the game where Harry Kane re-announced himself on the world stage by outpacing a defense which no one has quite literally ever seen happen. So well done, West Ham. I think I thank you every video for that. I don't know what to think of Spurs outside of they are a good team with good players. They're strong and Mourinho sets them up to defend, and they're not that fun to watch anymore, unfortunately. But in Harry Kane and Son Heung-min, they've just got two such fantastic players that can win a game out of anywhere. And you feel like, as much as it seems like Mourinho's being criticized right now for his handling of Harry Kane seems perfectly happy, and Harry Kane's still scoring goals. Harry Kane didn't stop scoring goals when Mourinho came in, and he scores from anywhere, and he does it himself. So they've got a match winner. I just think it's going to be a little bit too much for an Everton side to come back from. Spurs had a red card last time these two sides played. It was a 1-1 draw. I don't think Mourinho will like that. I think Mourinho is such a feisty competitor that he'll want a bit of retribution. I think most of the players will. So I'm going to go with the Spurs 2-0 victory here.
This is a 1-1 draw for me. I think it is two sides that are in pretty good form and have looked pretty good since the lockdown, although we haven't seen Spurs as much as Everton. But Everton, pretty much what you said about Tottenham, I could say the same things about Everton. They do look a good side, but you would expect them to be a good side. They've got good players and they've got a good squad, and they have a good manager finally backing them up. I would say they're slightly more easier on the eye than Tottenham and play slightly better football, but that's just what you're going to get with the difference between philosophies on football between Mourinho and Ancelotti. Their good result against Leicester, 2-1 win. They got the job done early with Richarlison and then a Sigurdsson penalty. A very cool two-step run-up Sigurdsson penalty, by the way, and put Schmeichel the wrong way. So when they come off, they look ice cold. And I just don't think there's going to be much between these sides, and I'm going for a draw. Anyway, Thomas, as we always do, that is 9 games down. It's all about the 10th, because the 10th is the main event.
Manchester United hosting City really good at Bournemouth.
Well. What is Thomas going to say about a Bournemouth side whose confidence must be absolutely on the floor? Why have they still got this guy managing their club when they could have gone out and got Tony Pulis to save them months ago? But anyway, he's not here to talk to you about Bournemouth. He's here to talk to you about the resurgent Manchester United. He is resident expert and Manchester United fan, Thomas Pickering.
That's me. Gone are the heated days of Bournemouth being like 4th in the league and beating Man United 1-0 and United looking completely at sea. This is a totally different Man United side. They have looked absolutely fantastic. 2 straight 3-0 victories. Pogba and Fernandes in the midfield is just unfair. It's so good to watch. And then they've got Matic, Fred, or McTominay to pair up just to provide that extra bit of defensive effort, because we all know Paul Pogba likes to go for a walk in the middle of every football match. Oh, but so good. Rashford is completely misfiring. Martial didn't have a great game in the last match. So Mason Greenwood went, yeah, sure, I'll do a couple step overs and whip it in the near post. And Bruno Fernandes went, I love to shoot. The man loves to shoot. I don't think he speaks English, but he knows the word shoot, because he just screams, me shoot. And he just does it over and over and over again. And they're good shots. It's freaking awesome to see. The setup Man United are now using a 4-2-3-1's been really effective. They're able to move the ball forward really quickly, and they're able to really utilize the fact that they have 2 of the best center midfielders on earth. And I think playing Pogba slightly back with a player as creative as Fernandes has given him a bit more. He was always behind like a Mata or someone that couldn't control a game, but Fernandes controls the game and gets in the ball, and it allows Pogba to move and utilize space. And you saw it later in the game, Pogba comes in more and more. He took Fernandes and Pogba out. The entire match changed, and it looked like an older, slower version of Man United. I am afraid of one thing, and it's called Luke Shaw. He cannot defend. I don't get it. Like, he just can't do it. He just gives the ball away in the defensive third. He doesn't make tackles. I don't know if we're just playing him because he was expensive, but I would much rather have Brandon Williams out there. This United side, though, it's finally, you text me about, it's finally fun for me to watch them play football again.
No,
and
good.
And I think for neutrals, like watching Fernandes and Pogba it's great. Like, we've got two really good. I'm
gonna let you into a little secret. There ain't no neutral support in Man United.
Yeah. Anyway, Man United are going to beat this Bournemouth side 3-0.
Yeah, I can't believe the difference in this Manchester United side. And it is Fernandes. It is like, this guy has changed everything. And it's not Ollie. It's the players seem really galvanised by him. And I know you said about second coming of Ronaldo, but it reminds me like Cantona. How everybody's just like really in awe of this guy who just seems to put in performance after performance. And everybody's kind of like, the main thing is it just looks like they enjoy playing for Man United at the moment, and that is huge. They're not like thinking, oh, I'm under pressure, I'm playing for Man United. They're thinking, I'm playing for fucking Man United.
I think really quickly, I know it's not my turn to talk, but I think Ighalo and Fernandes, like, everyone's talking about how like Fernandes literally keeps being like 100%, always 100%. We always give 100%. We have to be the best. And you've got an Ighalo player who's really happy to be there, wants to be at Man United, and remembers the Man United as a childhood of them winning. I think they're finally starting to get the chemistry right, where they're getting players in that don't necessarily have to have been at the club for 5 years to be like, well, that's not good enough. You need to be doing this. And everyone's like, oh, well, you're doing it, so maybe I should. I think like,
for me, I think Champions League's in the bag for them, and this Bournemouth side is such a sorry state at the moment, and it is a shame. And I know I ragged on them at the start, but Eddie Howe has done a marvellous job at this club, and it does look like they are going to go down. They just got no fight. I mean, I talk a lot of overhyping about Newcastle United, breaking kayfabe a little bit there, but to lose 4-1 to Newcastle United at home is the sign of a side that doesn't look like they have a lot of fight and a lot of belief left in them. I do hope I'm wrong, because I would like Bournemouth to stay up, and I would like Eddie Howe to stay in the Premier League with Bournemouth. But whereas in the past they looked like they could go and pull off a shock result, I don't see that now. And as you talked about, they are entering in a really bad run, and by the time they play anybody again they might be able to beat, it might be too late, and other teams might be too far away. Long story short, Man United are going to beat them, and we both got 3 points last time for saying Man United to win 3-0. So it'd be foolish of me to not say the same score. 3-0 Man United. Lead us out, Tom, with a rendition of Glory, Glory Man United, and give us some shout-outs.
Really quickly, thank Chris Smith, Alexandra Hale, Roberto Hollis for your comments. Who else have we got here? Michelaj, BVB, thank you very much for watching. Darren Warburton, always for all your predictions. Jack Watson, love the crest, Man United. Robert Allen, Shane O'Donnell. Shane O'Donnell, you do your own videos. I need to watch them, but thank you, and we will watch them. And if we enjoy them, we will plug them. But we'll keep talking about you anyway, even if we don't like them. And Ian hates everything. And Liam Nolan says, I hate Lord Bruce. And my only reply to that is Lord Bruce is a fantastic title for him, and I'm taking it.
Who said
Liam
that?
Nolan.
Liam Nolan?
Yes.
You are a fucking nutcase.
And on that note, thank you for watching.